So, there's a few lines in the galaxy hole that Sungold maybe probably made, and this is one of them. The Sectaurs cache-in, Lord of Insects. I won't blame you if you don't know what the hell Sectaurs is. I sure didn't until I got these knockoffs for it. But yeah, Sectaurs was a line put out by Coleco in '85 with Bug People. It did have a cartoon, but that was only a 5-episode miniseries, so it's probably why not quite as many people have heard of this one. But the cast for this miniseries included some Transformers voice actors, and the legit versions of these characters were voiced by Peter Cullen and Dan Gilvezan. I guess Sectaurs was at least popular enough though to get knockoffs of it, and of course the galaxy hole has to include almost everything. So, behold, our Lord of Insects, Triton and Ra. Oops, I mean, that's not who they are. These two guys, who are clearly nothing like Galaxy Warriors, are Professor Oreo and Vitor. Every figure also comes with an insect companion, which they really thought outside the box for names. The rhino beetle is called Rhino Bee, and the stag beetle is called Stag Bee. There are also two bad guys in this only 4-figure set, who are General Agus and Orc. And their companions were also outstandingly named Scorpy, the Scorpion, and Spida, the Spider. One particularly outstanding thing about the Lord of Insects line is the card back actually has an origin story for these guys. A mysterious radiation that emitted from a spacecraft of an unknown planet arrives to the Earth silently. It changes the ecology system of insects. The most seriously affected two are Scorpy TM and Spida TM. Their population grow explosively, and their bodies transform into enormous size in fluorescent color. General Agus TM and his son Orc TM are the contriver of this plot. They utilize these two gangs of insects to materialize their conspiracy of ruling the Earth. The two gangs of insects? You mean the two they come with? So each one of them is a gang? I don't really know how trying to take over the Earth with insects is a conspiracy, but moving on. Professor Oreo TM and his handsome assistant Vitor TM, oh jeez, is this gonna turn into a porn? Are experts of entomology who foresee the crisis. They develop an enzyme to speed up the growth and fortify other insects so as to restore the ecology system and restrain the power of General Agus and Orc. Meanwhile, Professor Oreo was also affected by the enzyme, undeniably, and becomes the heroic Autobot Lord of Insects. So he became the Lord of Insects because he made an enzyme that he fucked up with? Good one, Oreo. He uses his miraculous mentality to command an army of one. Oh wait, sorry, Vitor's not the army. An army of the two most powerful insects, Rhino and Stagbee, TM, to against the evil enemies. To against the evil enemies? An everlasting battle between the two forces of insects begins. Sorry, that's my best interpretation of that many ellipses. Well, that was certainly something, so thank you for that, Lord of Insects. So the thing that kind of makes these questionable Sungold releases is, well, their name isn't anywhere on this package. All we have is number 733. And I guess all the Lord of Insects were just number 733. Professor Sandwich Cookie's card does have a Spanish distributor sticker on it, and Spain is one of the areas I've seen these guys come out of a lot, but from what I've seen, they've been released all over the place. Not only do these cards not have Sungold or any other company on them, they don't even mark where they were made. But the backs of the figures say made in Hong Kong, so that's probably true. And they do have a Sungold stamp here along with the Made in Hong Kong, which is like those later version Galaxy Warriors. So you'd think that definitely mean they were Sungold figures, but then their name wasn't anywhere on the package, and they usually put that on there. So maybe they made them, maybe they just licensed out the molds for this other line to some other company, or maybe they were just bootlegged and they didn't bother removing that mark. Now, one thing about these Lord of Insects figures, taking them out of the package, is they're kind of disgusting to touch because all the white parts on them are a bit sticky feeling. I don't know if that's supposed to be part of the gimmick, maybe that's supposed to help the stupid bugs stick to them. Doesn't seem like it. Maybe, I don't know. But so yeah, just kind of touching around these figures makes your hands feel grimy, and that's rather unpleasant. Thanks, Lord of Insects. Also, stupid Oreo came with excessive plastic strings off one of his legs. He's also got kind of some molding going on a couple of his white parts. Alright, so Vitor is a reworking of the Galaxy Warrior Raw mold and given a much more Sectaur color scheme. And he is very obviously a knockoff of the Dargon character from Sectaurs. You can see that they painted up the Raw head to look a lot like this character, though they didn't go to the extra effort to give him antenna or anything. And Professor Oreo is a reworking of the Galaxy Warrior Triton. And like I mentioned, this one is also a clear knockoff of a real Sectaurs figure, being Mantor. Again, there is no actual altering to the head mold, they just painted on some different detailing like his beard. Much like they did for the wrestler figure based on Triton, Brut. And yeah, they probably meant Brute, but they didn't put Brute, they put Brut, so he gets called Brut. I bet you never expected a knockoff Masters of the Universe line to have such versatility. All you gotta do is change around some parts and their color schemes, and they can be a knockoff of just about anything. The translucent rubbery bugs are kinda neat and remind me of a lot of 90s toys that went for this kind of thing. These bugs also corroborate the Made in Hong Kong story the backs of the figures told us, so that's probably true, but it's also notable that these don't say Sungold on them. These bugs really seem like toys that would have came in some ooze, like the ectoplasm or turtle mutagen stuff that came out around the 90s. I gotta say though, the damn stickiness of these figures is really bugging me, and if the bugs at least kinda stuck to the figures because of it, I'd at least say it had a point to it, but they don't. But you can lay the bugs across their arms, so I guess that's what you're supposed to do with them. If it's not, then I don't know, it's the best I got. Now, while the Lord of Insects figures are exactly Galaxy Warriors from the crotch up, they do have different leg molds and one extra piece of articulation. Knee joints! And that is actually a pretty damn nice addition. These allow the Lord of Insects figures to stand much taller than their constantly squatting Masters of the Universe knockoff brethren. Now, I don't actually have the other two figures from this line, General Agus and Orc. So what the hell are these two? They're from the Turley Gang. Yeah, Turley Gang reused the two bad guys from Lord of Insects, but not the two good guys for their line. And that's a little strange because the rest of the Turley Gang just basically used the regular Galaxy Warrior mold, so these were the only two in the regular lineup of Turley Gang figures that had the knee joint. Oh yeah, and I did end up with a few extra of these guys thanks to lots I bought, and I thought maybe some of them would be Turley Gang and some would be Lord of Insect at least, because there are some color differences with some of them, like the much darker gloves on this one versus the others, but they all seem to be Turley Gang. Since they didn't change the color scheme of these figures in Turley Gang, there's only really two ways I know of to tell the difference. One factor, which is probably pretty unreliable, is the stickiness, as the Turley Gang figures don't have that same sticky feeling as the Lord of Insects ones do, but this might come off with time. I believe this is the definitive way to tell a Lord of Insects figure apart from a Turley Gang one. Lord of Insects figures have the Sun Gold Made in Hong Kong stamp, and Turley Gang figures are only just stamped Sun Gold. And luckily I do have a picture of the back of a Lord of Insects orc to show that he is stamped like the other Lord of Insects figures that I have. So yeah, even though these two aren't technically Lord of Insects figures, they are pretty much, and they were based on the Galaxy Warriors Devil and Thor. This time it's just a bit of a lazier palette swap for these two characters, and they didn't make them look like any specific Sectaurs character. So there you go, almost the entire Lord of Insects line. These guys are as nicely put together as the original Galaxy Warriors that came before them, plus they've got that extra point of articulation at the knee, which gives them even more posability. They've still got the soft rubbery heads and elastic jointed legs like the Galaxy Warriors and Fighters. But there is no different molding with the head sculpts to actually match some of the different details given to the good guys' heads to try and actually make them resemble the Sectaurs figures that they were knocking off. The translucent insect figures they come with are a neat little accessory, but it's a bit weak that that's the only thing they come with. Also, that damn sticky grime on them is kinda gross and picks up fuzz and hairs and other crap. 8. Well, they thought of yet another way to repurpose Galaxy Warriors molds and cash in on another property, so that'll get them something. But they were just repaints, and even though they've got that knee joint, I'm fairly certain it was Laser Force that first introduced that into the Galaxy hole. 5. Like I mentioned, it is really funny to think of molds that were originally used for knocking off He-Man getting so much use to cash in on these other lines like Sectaurs. Also, you got the damn to be expected at this point Galaxy confusion going on with the lack of Sun Gold marks on the package but being on the figures, and the two figures that were moved over to the Turley Gang. I thought there was one extra way to tell a General Agus figure from his Turley Gang counterpart, being the diamond on the forehead not being painted, but some releases in the Lord of Insects apparently did paint it, so yeah, leave it to the back stamp to tell which figure is which. 6. You got quite the artwork of old Professor Oreo with his stupid hair and beard blowing in the wind of this very red sky lightning day. It's got the usual Galaxy figure bullet points thing, and you might notice that one of these says that the insects glow in the dark. If you're wondering why I didn't show that, it's because, well, I never got them to actually do it. It is kind of funny they decided to focus on the knockoff Mantor figure instead of Dargon, but I guess they wanted to play it a little safer? The card back not only gave us the usual Galaxy rundown of the figures, but also a backstory, which was great. 8. These would be a bit smaller scale than the original Sectaurs figures, so they wouldn't really fit in perfectly with that line, but if you wanted a similar type of figure to go with Masters of the Universe or something, these would work. Just wash them first. 6. And the bootleg zones overall is 6! The figures are pretty decently put together, but still have a few drawbacks, and knock off a line that I don't have as much invested interest in. But it is interesting regardless all the corners that the Galaxy hole reaches.
It is I, the great Professor Oreo, and welcome to my lab. I foresee a crisis involving General Agus and his same-age son, Orc.
Hey, Oreo, it's me, your sexy assistant, Vitor.
Handsome assistant.
Okay, whatever you say.
Damn it, Vitor, stop distracting me. I'm at a really crucial moment with my experiment.
Oh, what you doing?
I'm mixing Pepsi and Coca-Cola with insect enzymes inside a toilet.
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh no!
Oh, Oreo, what happened to us?
You and your stupid, handsome face is what happened to us, Vitor. Now I have become the Lord of Insects!
What am I now?
My assistant.
Can I still be handsome assistant, Vitor?
I don't know about that.
Hey, Professor Oreo, look! It's General Agus and his stupid son, Orc. They're up to their no-good schemes, no doubt.
They have just made the biggest mistakes of their lives, for I, the great Professor Oreo, Lord of Insects, have amassed an army.
What? When did you do that?
Sometime off-screen when you weren't looking. Behold, Vitor, our army!
It's 2 bugs.
Insects, Vitor, be polite.
Okay, it's 2 insects.
You'd better learn to appreciate the insect, Vitor, for now we are part insect ourselves.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot for scarring me for life with this mutation, Oreo.
Shut up, Vitor. You're not supposed to have any real character development regarding that. So, Dad, a conspiracy to take over the Earth is going brilliantly. No one believes it's real. I really wish you'd stop calling me Dad. Also, I forget how a conspiracy exactly was supposed to gain us the Earth. Oh no, General Dad! Professor Oreo has apparently amassed an army, and we've forgotten our spider and scorpion at home! And secondarily, they've apparently mutated. Stand tall, son. We will crush their army like bugs.
They just crushed the army, Oreo! I hope you had a backup plan!
Of course I have a backup plan, Vitor! You're the new Lord of Insects now, Vitor! I'm gonna see if I can get a job as an overly gimmicky wrestler in the 90s!
Well, you two like stuff?
I'm kind of indifferent to stuff. The truth is out there! We will take over the world! No, probably not, Orc. We don't have a solid plan.
Yay!
We could still kill this guy, though.
Oh.